Hello and welcome to Please Don't Send Me Into Outer Space, the podcast intent on exploring all that science fiction and fantasy has to offer, one random movie at a time. My name is Joel.
My name is Sarah.
My name's Aaron.
The movie this week was Trapped by... Hey, what?
No.
Get out of here with your laughter.
I'm serious. This is my serious face.
This is not like Hardware. You can't laugh at this movie.
Okay.
Trapped by Television, 1936. Directed by Del Lord. Aaron has just put his shirt in his mouth so that he doesn't laugh. Okay. Directed by Del Lord. Starring Mary Astor, Lyle Talbot, Nat Pendleton, Joyce Compton, and more assorted characters, but those were the four main characters. I don't remember what the president of the company's name. I'm hoping it's this Henry Mullison person, because that's the next person on the list. Thornton? I don't remember. So let's tell a little story about how we all watched this movie and really enjoyed it. I mean, I've seen it twice. That's how much I enjoyed the movie. Yeah, that's what it was.
I've started it twice, Joel.
Okay. How far did you get?
Well, the first time I watched it, I got up to a certain point, and then I had to go home. And then another time I watched it, and I got to a certain point, and then I fell asleep. And that's as far as I've gotten on this movie.
I don't know why I have to be the parent here who has to say, you have to do your homework.
I'm
otherwise
sorry,
you're going to be behind in class.
Hey, look, if you need to jettison me from the spacecraft, I understand.
Yeah, there weren't any spacecrafts. This is something we're going to talk about once we get into this. But Sarah, you watched the movie.
Yeah, did I fall asleep the first time we were watching it? Because I remember not knowing where we were at some point.
I don't remember what the circumstance was.
I just remember not knowing what was going on at some point, and I think it was because I woke up. I mean,
until the movie picks up after the thing is actually invented, it is kind of slow, because you don't really... Their version of developing the story is introducing the character and then eventually getting to an actual plot thing. It's a movie that makes gangsters boring. But, yeah.
Oh, that is not a good thing.
So here's a synopsis as the only person who watched the movie a couple of times. A man invents a television set and a projector, or a camera, to project to the television set. Way before this stuff was around. He has a plucky woman who is going to sell this for him because he's just an inventor. And gee golly whiz, he doesn't really know how to do anything. And oh yeah, there's a bill collector guy who, his hobby is science.
The star of the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's great,
IMO.
Yeah. I know, you got that I Heart Rocky shirt on right now.
Yep.
Anyways, but getting in the way of him having success with his invention is a couple of evil kind of gangster type people who want to sell their product to the company that is going to buy his television invention. And a bunch of crazy stuff happens, including some fist fights and some car chases and some goofiness and some sexual assault. Well, no, I guess it wasn't sexual assault. It depends on how you look at it. It was the 30s.
Oh.
What did you see as sexual assault?
Well, you were talking about that part where he just rushes in and immediately starts kissing the woman. I mean, she accepted it, but what was it prompted by?
By her buying something for him.
Right. You bought something for me once. Okay, never mind. That explains my whole relationship. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to have to say that,
You didn't watch the movie. Get out of here.
Okay,
I'm
bye.
just kidding.
Bye, guys.
No, I want to know what Aaron's opinion is.
Well, I'm going to say that I haven't seen that scene in particular, but what I did see, which is probably the first 15, 20 minutes of this film, is that it was implied that the inventor had a thing for this lady. I would say that his mannerisms and the way that he was talking to her showed that he was trying to move some smooth moves on her. But then at the same time, he's like, "Oh, this lady's going to help me sell my thing." So he was being a bit more reserved because he wanted to continue to have that business relationship with her. But I could tell that there was something a little bit more going on. Or at least it was implied. You know, he didn't come out and say it, but you could see in his little black and white sparkly eyes that, you know, that's what he wanted. I
don't want to talk, you know, sexism or whatever in every episode, but
you weren't here for hardware. We're making up for lost time.
There was definitely some weirdness. It felt like you were supposed to be on his side, even though by that time in those situations, he didn't have any money. He hadn't finished his project.
Yeah.
Like, if you looked at it that way, he wasn't meeting the benchmark that he felt he should be within, you know, being a man and providing for someone, he couldn't even pay his bills.
Yeah.
That's why the bill collector found him in the first place.
Yeah, but he had high hopes in the American spirit.
I just think that, you know, he comes down on her for supposedly not caring or not believing enough in him after she gives him the money she has, sells her coat, all this stuff. Then suddenly it's like, oh, you know, stood by your man. Now I'm going to make money and provide for us, and you're going to be my lady. But
no, I see what you're getting at. Also, this woman is supposed to be like a very independent and like, you know, they imply that. You know, like I said, I've only seen 20 minutes of this movie.
She's got her own business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she, like, is pushy. She's one of those women, if you know what I mean. In the 30s.
30 standards, yeah. I guess.
She's supposed to be obnoxious or something like that. Well, it has nothing to do with her being a woman. It has to, or any person who, like, insists themselves upon a person to sell a product comes off as obnoxious. But this is the kind of movie that's like, look at this woman.
Yeah, that's definitely implied, for sure.
I felt like I probably wouldn't have wanted to hang out with anybody that was in this movie, except for maybe Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky, I was going to say.
But nobody else.
Rocky's pretty cool.
Everybody else was so serious, and they were so obsessed with these things that it seemed like nobody else would be interested in.
Yeah.
Like, very niche. The audience of people that would have, wanted to sit around and hear about the television and the business of the television and the optioning.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it. It was directed by, the guy who directed it did a whole bunch of the Three Stooges shorts and stuff like that, and you could feel that kind of humor. I mean, it wasn't slapstick in the same way as the Three Stooges, but it had that kind of simple joke and that, like, quick-witted, like, response timing thing, and I'm sorry that it put you guys to sleep.
Oh, no. I'm not
Joel.
I'm not saying...
I mean, it's the randomizer's fault. It's not your fault.
Honestly, come on now.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to apologize for what the randomizer is thrown against us.
Yeah.
You know? I'm sorry that I fell asleep, but I will definitely say that I did enjoy what I saw. But,
I feel like you should have watched this with Kempo, and
I tried.
She probably would have been into it.
No, she wasn't into it either, man. It was both. It was a pass on both our parts. Unfortunately,
I'm gonna buy a boat and put you guys both in it and send you out to sea.
Okay.
I think that it wasn't anybody's fault. I just didn't care for this movie, and I probably wouldn't recommend it to anybody unless they really enjoy hearing dialogue about business.
I mean, what they're talking about is all goofy. It's not really. They're not really talking about. They don't get down to the nitty gritty. There's no charts or anything like that. They're talking about, you know, the people who aren't talking about business are talking about how dire it is, and the other people are talking about. They're just being so goofy about it.
I felt the script probably needed a couple more passes, I would say. I mean, I'm not a filmmaker, but I'm gonna say that.
It was put out on YouTube in the 1940s.
Yeah, they should have thought about that before they put it out on YouTube in the 1930s, you know?
I found out recently that my grandmother was in a science fiction club in the 1940s.
Get out. Yeah, that's so cool. What was it called?
I don't remember. I should ask her about it. But she loves reading.
Oh, cool.
And she's not interested in science fiction now. Like, nowadays, she would never watch a sci-fi movie, really, unless it had some spiritual quality or something in it. Like, maybe The Abyss, or maybe, like, you know, something that has, like, a higher meaning about existence. Yeah, Contact, maybe.
Terminator 2.
But, apparently, in the 40s, she was in a science fiction club where they would get together and read sci-fi books.
That's so cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. You like the kind of science fiction that's most popular now, I feel like is more fantasy oriented.
I would say, yeah, definitely that, or an action movie. That seems to be the implied science fiction film. The modern science fiction film nowadays has to include some sort of action subplot or even plot, you know, with maybe some science fiction CG background.
Right, not the good ones, not the interesting ones.
Well, you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. See?
Are you saying that in this time it was kind of a success that they were even, like, making a movie about something that didn't exist yet? Like, that was progress?
No. You were saying that it needed a couple of rewrites on the script, Aaron. I'm imagining that this script was written up in less than a week and then filmed in the same
That's what it felt like.
It felt like that, and then like tossed onto the screen, theaters, not television, because television wasn't a thing people had.
Well, yeah.
So like they play that, and then the newsreel, and in between the newsreel they have a cartoon, and then whatever else.
Yeah.
That's only an hour long. I recommend you watch it just to see something that's not science fiction. It wasn't. It's science fiction because it was a technology that didn't exist. This is something I want to talk about.
Okay.
What is the bare minimum of something that has to be science fiction? We kind of, touched on this when we had LFO. Were we talking about LFO? And I still think of that movie as mostly science, or not mostly science fiction, just barely science fiction. This one, maybe in the 30s, it really did feel like science fiction, but that technology has happened.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, it was science fiction then. The idea of what this guy was trying to invent was something that didn't exist then. It'd be like trying to exist, I don't know, or try to make a flying car nowadays or something, and it doesn't exist yet. I'm trying to think of something that's at that scale for our modern era. That would be the same thing, I don't know.
Like teleportation.
Yeah.
That will always be science fiction until it's not.
Exactly. So it was back then. Again, 1930s. I'm sure the idea of having a box in your house, that would have pictures, moving pictures. What a crazy concept. It's all going to be radio. It's going to be radio forever. I'm sure that was exactly what the modern thinking man was thinking. Yeah.
I feel like this movie would have still worked exactly the same if it had been an inventor of anything at all.
You mean like if he invented the double chainsaw?
If he invented a new typewriter, I think the movie still would have worked exactly the same, which means to me, it feels like it wasn't a science fiction to me.
Right. I think it just got labeled that because it had been labeled that a long time ago.
Okay, no, I could see that because it's mostly just about the business end of it. You're not seeing the inventor invent it. You're not seeing the thing in motion, really.
Oh.
It was funny, too. I'm not going to say it wasn't funny in some places.
I just appreciate a pun more than you do. I think I get those dad jokes. You just kind of look at me and shake your head.
I think that there was humor in it, and there were some moments that were sort of, silly fighting or something like that. But it was a movie that I feel like had an object placed in it, something that was in there that maybe didn't really exist or have any real meaning yet for them, but it could have been, it was more about what was happening trying to sell this product and what was going wrong trying to sell the product than about a science fiction quality, a science fiction element to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
These are the kind of movies we are going to run into on occasion. It's not even going to be, you know, these older movies too. I'm sure we're going to watch something from, you know, the last decade that's going to be like, this isn't science fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. What do we talk about?
I think science fiction novels back then were way more entertaining than science fiction movies.
I don't know anything like, what is the context? Was H.G. Wells...
30s would be Wells. 30s would be,
I mean, Jules Verne was from like the 1800s,
yeah,
right?
Verne was definitely
So
popular
it had
during
been
that era.
around a while, and
Yeah.
also, what's his name that did John Carter of Mars?
Yeah.
That's from the
Edgar
1800s
Rice
too,
Burroughs?
right? Yeah, Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Maybe it just was more...
Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft.
Jimmy Lovecraft, yeah.
Maybe it was just too difficult to try and make something that was that far outside of the normal. I think movies were still, you know, just in the beginning stages at that point. Maybe it was just too hard to come up with a whole new world to build.
Yeah, I don't think they were, you know, trying to do that when they made this movie anyways. It was like we say, it was written in like a week probably, or less than that. Somebody pumped it out real quick, like, hey, I got an amusing script for you boys. Oh, thank goodness. We gotta get back in the can here. Wait.
I can see
what
that.
I said doesn't make any sense.
No, I definitely, I see what you're saying though. It could have been even been the same crowd that made a Three Stooges, you know, the Three Stooges skits. You know,
Totally.
could have been the same crew. You know, they're just
Same
like,
actors.
Yeah, could have just been like, oh man, let's do this. You know, yeah. It definitely had that kind of, like you just said, thrown together feel. That's definitely what it felt like. You know, the sets were okay. Again, those could have been Three Stooges sets to begin with.
Yeah, there
Like,
there weren't that many different things. They had like shots of a college football game that they, you know, got from some other place and just put it into the part of the movie. There was no crowds or anything like that. We're talking about a cast of maybe like, including the board, maybe 20 people at the most.
At most.
3 women, 20 people. Uh-huh.
What else came out in that year?
Oh, and 30. Let's see what the popular movies were in 1936. This is going to take a little bit of homework. I was going to say, I did my due diligence with this.
You did. You really brought it to the field.
Not only did I watch this movie, but I went and I was like, oh, I don't know any of these actors. I better go check it out. So I looked up the main woman, Mary Astor, was the main female lead in The Maltese Falcon.
Oh, wow.
And I'd never seen The Maltese Falcon. Have either of you seen it?
I've never seen The Maltese Falcon either.
I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar.
It was on a VHS tape my parents had with another movie on it, so I'd always fast forward it to the other movie. So I've had ample opportunities to see the Maltese Falcon every single time.
This is stupid Maltese Falcon in front of my copy of Weekend at Bernie's 2.
I think it was actually 007 Dr. No.
Oh,
that's what it was.
That's good.
So I would always fast forward it to Dr. No.
That movie's kind of slow, I would think, for a young person, too.
It's like a spy.
But it's a spy, yeah, exactly. Action adventure.
Talk about sexual politics.
Yeah.
I really like that movie because he's just like, I know she's evil, so I'm going to sleep with her. Oh, by the way, I called these people. They're going to take you away after I've done it.
Yeah, James Bond's not a good guy.
No.
I mean, that's, he's not a good guy.
So, 36, we got Modern Times from Chaplin, My Man Godfrey, Swing Time.
What year did It Happen One Night come out?
That came out yesterday. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a 30s film. I watched that one recently.
Yeah,
So, Clark Gable.
Anyways, Maltese Falcon. Really freaking good. Humphrey Bogart is
Cool.
amazing. Like, I'm telling the podcast listeners something they already know, but you guys should watch it.
All right, I'll watch it.
1934, It Happened One Night.
Okay.
So before this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just watched that one recently, and I flippin' loved it.
You love Clark Gable. I don't think I've ever seen Clark Gable in a movie before.
It's worth it. It's worth watching. It happened one night. It's really good.
Does he have a mutant head like he does in the cartoons with Bugs Bunny?
You know, he has a hat on most of the time, and then when he doesn't have a hat on, his hair's like slicked back. Yeah.
Nah.
I really enjoyed it though. It was one of those. It's definitely one of the first like rom-com kind of feel films. It was good times.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's good time. There was definitely a lot of like, well, you're a woman kind of stuff going on in that one as well. That was just like, why is this even being implied? Like, it's such an alien thing, you know? I don't know how to explain it otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
and that was definitely heavily implied, at least within the first 20 minutes of this film. There was a lot of that kind of, well, you're a woman, you know? Like,
I don't think they ever, like, pointed that out to anyone, but they did say a couple of things that were, I don't know how to put them in their place. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, if this doesn't go through, we can always go back to manicuring.
Bride of Frankenstein the year before.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we didn't
Mark
watch...
of the Vampire.
We didn't watch the most popular movie from 1936.
What was the most popular movie?
The most popular was the first one I mentioned.
Charlie
which was-
Chaplin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Modern Times. Which might be science fiction. Let's see.
Because he goes through the gears.
That's right.
And you can't really go
Nope,
through
it's a
the
comedy
gears.
drama. Too bad. Never be on the podcast. No fantasies. Stop fantasizing.
I just think it's interesting to know what else was going on in science fiction at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Or around the time.
Oh, yeah, there weren't that many. I think our pool of movies that were science fiction movies were really small from 1936. I think there were like 7 or 8. So we were going to get something.
When did Metropolis come out?
That was from the 20s. That's why,
wow.
for the randomizer, I've placed the 1920s as our lowest date.
Well, I mean, that's like entirely a
It
silent
makes
film.
it really impressive, though, too, to know it was
Oh my
that long
gosh.
ago.
And it's a movie that is still science fiction, because that is not something that is a fantasy that has not come to pass at all.
Absolutely.
Unless you count your little Roomba as one of those automatons.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, either only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 movies. One of them, the most popular science fiction movie from 1936, according to the site letterboxd.com, was H.G. Wells' Things to Come. Have you seen that one?
Nope.
Why not?
Because?
Mm-hmm. Very upsetting.
I can tell that I am not popular in this room today.
One more.
No. It's no. Don't worry.
Before we move on, one more actor I wanted to point out. Now, if you had to pick out of those 4 main actors, which one was the least interesting actor? Which one would you pick?
Probably the inventor. He was boring. Vanilla.
The inventor's name, the actor's name, was Lyle Talbot. And he was in at least 2 of Edward D. Wood's movies, Glenn and Glenda and Plan 9 from Outer Space.
He was in Plan 9, huh? Wow.
That explains. I mean, that's... Where else do you have to go after Trapped by Television? Only up.
That's right.
Plan 9 would have been way more entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
I think... Well, what did you like about the movie? Just say what you liked about it.
I like the comedy, and I like the writing and the way that people did their lines, and there were those characters, Rocky, and the girl who what's her not Mary Astor.
Secretary.
I mean, she was fine, but Joyce
Secretary.
Compton, May, who played May in the movie, they got these like superb comeback lines, like being likable and fun, and I also like that there are things that just obviously don't happen in movies anymore. You don't see 2 grown women sharing a bed because they can't afford to live anywhere else. You don't see a person who hasn't paid his rent in 3 months just get to keep on living in his apartment.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Unheard of.
'cause he's wacky. And you don't see gangsters using blow darts to play a game of darts.
It's definitely a piece of its time.
Yeah.
That's true. Very true.
This kind of reminded me of that Christmas movie that we watched. What was that one we watched that we didn't really like that much that was in black and white?
The one that we watched, did it have, what's his name? Are you talking about Shop Around the Corner?
Yeah, the one that was like, You Got Mail.
Yeah, it got remade as You Got Mail, yeah.
Wait a minute, was that the one that was like, they worked in like a department store?
They were writing letters, yeah. Right? Jimmy Stewart was like, I can't do a Jimmy Stewart impersonation, forget it. I gotta prep for this.
For some reason it reminded me of, see, and that guy reminded me of the Great Oz from Wizard of Oz. Is the guy that was in this movie?
Frank Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's his picture right there.
Was he in the movie we just watched?
No.
For some reason I thought he was. And some of the...
That's what Aaron's gonna look like when he gets older.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
This is great talking about a picture on the podcast. Okay.
Their face is just...
The attitude of the president of that company, you mean? Yeah, I can understand that. They all went to the same acting school, probably down the street from each other, right? It's cool.
Yeah.
I think that we could talk about more if you wanted to.
Oh, well, yeah, let's keep going. What do you want to talk about?
I mean, I'll say that I didn't particularly care for this movie, but it was only an hour long. It reminded me of this movie that we watched called Shop Around the Corner that we didn't really care for. We were binge watching a bunch of Christmas movies. What was that? It was like 22 Christmas movies before Christmas.
It's one of my Letterboxd lists, but I don't remember, yeah.
Yeah, we decided we were going to watch a certain number of Christmas movies before Christmas. And were they all ones you hadn't seen yet?
We mixed and matched. There were a bunch that I hadn't seen. There were some that you hadn't seen. But most of the ones that you hadn't seen were also ones that I hadn't seen. For some reason, you've seen more than me.
And I picked some, I think.
Right. We watched White Christmas, and we watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which we'd already seen a bunch of times. And we saw Shop Around the Corner and Die Hard, because we have to watch Die Hard.
Yes.
Because we love Die Hard.
Always a Christmas tradition.
That's right. But I liked Shop Around the Corner.
I didn't remember you liking that one very much.
I did like it, and I was disappointed that you didn't like it.
I'm going to say that I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't even remember. I have seen it, though, because the name is very familiar, but I can't even remember what it's about.
Yeah. The one I didn't really enjoy was the one with, the one about the angel that is trying to, it was the bishop's wife.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we watched the bishop's wife, and that one I didn't really think.
I like that one a lot more.
Oh, we're breaking up.
And then the,
Live on the air.
Oh, wow.
He's like this all the time.
Divorce Italian style.
You guys are great. You guys are great.
Yeah. And then you had that challenge for yourself where you were watching all of those, what's his face? John Malkovich movies. You were like trying to understand.
Yeah, but that was like in 2006 or 7.
You're still the same human being that you were then.
I have a feeling that if I watched them again, I might have different opinions now that I've seen more movies. But like, yeah, I was doing a thing called the John Malkovich Project because I didn't really understand why people thought John Malkovich was a good actor. And by the 5th movie, I figured out what his thing was, and that kind of like took the steam out of my project. Plus, I got busy with work and school, so I could keep writing the blog. But yeah.
Question: have you seen Burn After Reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's his greatest film, but I actually kind of really liked his portrayal in that movie.
Quite a bit, being John Malkovich, dude.
I love being John Malkovich. I love.
I saw that in high school, and I felt really naughty watching that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That scene where Malkovich's head is on a woman with big boobs.
Yeah, it was an awkward time in my life, and that was definitely an awkward movie to watch.
It's an awkward movie forever. It will be an awkward movie.
When I watched it the first time, I didn't really understand what the hell was going on. And now that I'm adult, I don't understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah, maybe it does. It definitely might need another watching.
Yeah, we got it back there.
That's science fiction.
I would say
as far as I know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, totally. If not science fiction, then definitely fantasy.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to look it up. Okay, I'm looking it up. No. So, I don't think we really scraped on any of the subjects that I wanted to, because there's not really anything to talk about in the movie, especially when only two of us have seen it.
Hey.
I didn't say anything after we finished watching it on purpose, because I thought you'd want to talk about it on the podcast.
Because I thought you wanted to hit me. You were so mad.
Well, I'll say that my favorite part of the movie that I saw is I really like the bill collector, Rocky. And he really made it for me. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah.
Had it been maybe had it been a film about a guy who was collecting bills, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more for some reason.
That opening scene is great with his boss like trying to take his science magazine from him.
The beginning leads you to believe that's what the movie is going to be about.
Right.
Well, I wanted it to be like a movie where this guy bumps into a mad scientist or something, and then like zany things happen. I don't know, maybe he gives him a pill that makes him like 30 feet tall, and he's like, whoa, science,
but
you know? And
zany things do happen, just not science zany things.
Yeah.
There's a part where they're chased by the cops.
That's pretty cool. That's always fun.
It's funny when he like crashes into the bad guys at the end, even though the cops were chasing him. He's like, do your duty. Oh, cops. Yeah. That's the way it works, right? You just point the cops in the direction. Yeah, I crashed into this car, but look at that criminal. The 30s.
I think that Aaron wanted it to be Mad Scientists in Love, the play you guys did.
Absolutely.
I don't know what you're talking about. So, let's turn on...
Oh.
Okay, so we're going to turn on the old randomizer so that we don't have to talk about me acting or Aaron acting or anyone acting. Click on the button there. Start it up. Okay, all the lights are good.
What was that?
It's
Whoa. Is it supposed to glow like that?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a technical... No, wait. It's spitting out a piece of paper like it's supposed to.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was probably just a gear.
Yeah.
I got stuck.
How many AAA batteries did you feed it?
Oh, I mean, I just... It kept asking for more.
Uh-huh.
Nah!
All right, well, let's see what it says here on this paper.
Okay. We got little movie.
We'll put it back in its crate, okay?
A fantasy movie from 1979 called Quincy's Quest.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, available on YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool.
Those are our favorite kind of movies.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Another movie we haven't heard of. Just like this last one that was supposed to be good. Ooh, you
Who said it was supposed to be good?
Jesus. It's in the Bible, okay? I didn't write it.
Just because a movie existed that year doesn't mean it was good.
All movies are inherently good. Just look at Sex and the City Part 2. Okay, so next week we're going to be watching Quincy's Quest. You can watch it on YouTube unless they take it down before this podcast comes out because they're evil. By they, I mean, you know who I mean. They are. In the meantime, I'm going to put the randomizer in a sack and drop it in a river. No, I'll figure it out. Don't worry, we'll have it all figured out by the time we come back here.
If not, I'll bring a bunch of peasants with, pitchforks and torches or something. We'll take care of them.
Aaron, you want to sell any of your products?
My products?
Are you still doing like an orc a day or anything like that you want to talk about?
An orc?
Oh, no, I haven't... I don't have anything as of yet, but I'm definitely starting to gear up to release some sort of maybe a website or a web comic or something.
You should at least have your Facebook, like a Facebook page for Aaron Cornelius Art.
You're right. I need to get on that.
There's no reason to.
There's no reason not to.
It's the hardest thing to do.
It
it's
is.
really hard.
No.
I had to force myself, and I just ended up abandoning it for a few years. And only now I'm starting to update it again.
Cool.
It's just...
Well, I'll definitely get it started, yeah. Just look in the future. Look for something called, like, Aaron's Art or something like that. Maybe a little more clever than that, hopefully. But we'll figure something out.
We'll have links to it from this.
Absolutely.
And Sarah, what's your page's name on Facebook?
Oh, my page is Sarah Roberts Designs. There's some stuff on there that's older that I worked on, and I'm uploading a few watercolors and stuff I've done more recently, but I'm an artist too, and Aaron's an artist.
Yay.
Art is cool.
Art is awesome.
I'm not an artist. I'm just a guy. I don't have anything to plug. Our Twitters are at JDT Movies and at HyperHeroMan. And the Twitter for the podcast is at Outer Space Pod. Email address, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please send in any suggestions. Because even though we're doing a random thing, we will take suggestions on movies. The email for that is pleasedon'tpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, good. Aaron didn't laugh that time. Until next week, I got to come up with a sign-off message. What's a good sign-off message for this?
See you in the stars. No.
No, that's really nerdy.
Take me to your leader.
Until next week, take me to your leader. Wait, that's how you start off a conversation.
Oh, you're right. Crap. What did he say in Galaxy Quest by Grobthar's hammer?
Grobthar's hammer.
You
We will avenge you. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.